Hi, welcome back to Guessagaingaming with another small update on Pathfinder Kingmaker. This isn't going to be one of those updates where I'm talking about what happened during a mission. This is just an overall thought of some of the game mechanics, and this is more of a kind of like not as good a review. Like I said, I've really enjoyed this game. I've been playing it tons of hours. One thing I think is important about games where they have a huge amount of hours you need to put into them is that later on down the line you don't get to points where there's nothing you can do because you've made decisions that you can't change and then you've got to a point where it's terminal. I think that's not kind of really fair in games because obviously when you start a game, if it's a game like Rage 2, and it's fine because it's a short game and it's a fun, silly game. But in a game where you've got lots of decisions, there's lots of things you do and don't do, I think it's a little bit unfair where, especially if you've never played before, you shouldn't need to play a game right through to find out what you might have done wrong, and it's a bit unfair if you get into like 70 hours plus into the game, which I probably am now, maybe more, and you get to points where it's like, I'm stuck. So firstly, one of the things that is annoying in this game is you have these advisors. They're built from people you recruit during the game, or a couple of them you start with anyway, and it all depends on who you find and who you continue to have in your party, and they all have different roles. There's a curator, there's a regent, and some of these roles is quite a few different characters that you'll have that can fill them, and others there are very few. And this role of counsellor, there's only apparently, from what I've seen online, 2 characters in the whole game that you could use, and I had one, but for whatever reason, which I won't go into because it will spoil the game for other people, I haven't got that person anymore. It's a major plot thing, so I'm not going to tell you what happened. I've never got the other one anyway, and I think it's too late now. So we haven't got a counsellor, and you need that to do some of the research and some of the missions, the in throne room missions, not the physical going out of the on trails missions, but some of the in-house missions to research stuff. And it's ridiculous because there's no reason why one of your other characters, for example, if this one wasn't a general and she was just free, which she could be a counsellor. She may not be a good counsellor, but she could be a counsellor, and so could she, and so could he, and so could she, and so could he, and so could, and they all might not be very good. But the idea that you can only have a couple of people for one role, and you may not even find them, or you may want to get rid of them, or they may get rid of themselves for whatever reason, is annoying because it spoils your playthrough, because then you can progress. I've been progressing without a counsellor for quite a while now, but it damages your empire, it damages the things you can do, and it's just not really fair, because if you've got someone from the local pub, or one of your soldiers, just a random guy or random person, they could just as easily be a counsellor. They may, again, not be a good counsellor, but it'd be someone to fill the role. So that's the first thing, and that comes neatly onto the second thing, which is these events, which are the things you do need counsellors and in-house people to do, and some of them are only available to certain people. So, for example, let's see if we can find one. I think maybe here. Yeah, so this one, for example, we need to research into the natural curses Tartak. Well, we haven't got a candidate because we need a counsellor, and the counsellor's not here, we haven't got one, so we can never research that ever. So it's annoying. Again, there's another one, we can't do that one because there's no counsellor. So it's kind of not very helpful that you can't have a counsellor once you either miss the couple there are, or get rid of them, or they leave you. Also, and adding on to that point, you can have missions. Let's just find a random mission. Yeah, here, okay. So there's a mission. You can see I've put this grand advisor into the possible person that's going to solve it, and you can see from the right there where it says requires 14 days to solve, success chance 0. That's a success chance. You can use these bonus points, but it wouldn't buff it up much, and they're very hard to get later in game, so you wouldn't want to use it on that. And even if I can't remember if I've got other people I can use. Yeah, okay, I've got him, and I can use him, and he's got the same chance, which is no chance. And you get quite a lot of these. Yeah, he's got no chance of doing that one. And there's another one, he's busy anyway. There's another one, she's got no chance of doing that one, and so on and so forth. So basically, it wouldn't matter if your counsellor was rubbish, if your counsellor was just some guy from the street or the cook, because he would still have he couldn't have less than no chance, and your actual counsellors and your actual advisors have no chance. So it's annoying that you haven't got a counsellor because you need one for roles. It's annoying you can't use somebody else for that role, even if it's just somebody who's not going to be very good at it. And then also the problem is that you get to this point where, I don't know why this is really, I guess it's because of, I don't know, I actually don't know why. But you get to this point where lots of there you go, that one can do that role and that mission, and he's 11 success chance, 11%. That one's 0, we've already gone for that. Here's another different one, they're both busy anyway, but they're probably busier this one. There, she's the regent, and she could do that, and she's got 0 chance of doing that. Think about that. And we're not even at a crumbling state of our empire, we're worried, and I know from that it goes to rioting, and then it goes to crumbling, so we're not even at the worst state of our empire, but we will be, because no one has got even a 1% chance of doing a mission, and that's just ridiculous. I mean, how can a regent have a 0 chance? I mean, the milkman or the person that cleans the streets would have a 0 chance. So it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't really matter what the reasoning is behind 0 chance. 0 chance is no one should have a 0 chance. If you're a regent, if you're the grand advisor, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't have a 0 or 11% chance in things. It doesn't make sense. And like I said, it gets to a point like this where you haven't got one of your advisors that you need, which is a counsellor, or you will have missions that whoever you've got available, they won't be able to do them at all. It's not like they've got 50% chance, they've got no percent chance. And even if you had all the extra bonus points, which is this crisis points, which, like I said, they're very hard to get later in game, there's no way you'd have enough to buff somebody. Actually had 11, now she's got 36, so we'd have to knock her up another couple of points if we had them to make it over halfway, and that's just one mission, and that would mean no points left. So it's a kind of unfair game, because they need to give you I find the actual going out into the world of fighting usually quite fair, but this part when you're in the capital and you're doing these missions kind of unfair, because this is, like I said, it doesn't make any sense that you can't just appoint anybody as a counsellor, which is what you would do. You just pick somebody, whoever, your friend, one of the other advisors, and say you can be a counsellor if you needed one. And it doesn't make sense that, you know, your regent and other people have got 0 chance in missions. That doesn't make any sense. And because it's like that, it's almost impossible to stop your kingdom crumbling and going to pot, because you're failing all these missions. Most of them are problems, and there's a problem. See, and we put Amiri, who's really good. She's like probably the highest level, and she solves the most missions by miles. I always put her on things because she's the one that solves things, and if I put her on that, she's got an 11% chance. And even with the dice roll thing and the extra crisis points, she'll have a 36. So that's what I mean. You get to this point where even if you use your most successful advisors and you add crisis points, you won't even probably do one mission, and that's not counting all these other missions that you'll fail. You can see all these fail because basically there was no one who could do them, because they were all either 0 success, or they were busy on other missions. And that's another problem as well, because you'll have the missions take quite a while. They all do. There's no missions that take like one day. They all take time. You can see that takes 14 days, that takes 21 days, that takes 14. These things they call projects, which take longer, 30 days, 60 days. So you'll run out of A, people that can successfully do missions, and B, you'll have not enough people to be doing all the missions anyway. And so you'll be thrown into this thing where whatever you do, even if you've done all the right things, you'll end up with not enough advisors to do all the missions, and the advisors you've got are not having any chance of succeeding in the missions. And that's a bit unfair, I think. I think they needed to balance it out a bit more, where you would have more people you could assign, or they were a bit shorter, the missions, or you had better chances than 0 or 11%, because like I said, we've leveled up our kingdom quite a lot. We've got a big kingdom now, and yet we've got advisors that can't do anything to 0%, which is like, what? So it's unfair. And like I said, I've been playing this for about 70 hours plus, I don't know, I'm just guessing. But it's annoying to get to this point when you've gone through the practical missions and the fights and the battles and the decisions, done the things you thought were right, you followed the path that you started off with, whichever it might be. Mine was good, but it could be anything. It could be neutral or chaotic or evil or chaotic good, whatever. And I've done all the things following the path. I've done all the things that seemed right, and yet I've got to a point where I can't really solve any problems in the kingdom at all. And that sucks, basically. And that's not through any fault of my own, because even if there's things I could have done earlier that were different, they certainly weren't obvious from the things I did. And like I said, it's a bit unfair of a game where you get to many hours in and you realise that, well, I can't proceed because of things I didn't know. And I don't know what I'd do differently if I went back. The only thing I can say that I would do differently is I'd save those crisis points a little bit, but again, that would mean I probably wouldn't have succeeded in some of the earlier missions, so it wouldn't necessarily help. And just so you know, I'm not sure if I've got one set up. When you need to get these crisis points, it's because you enhance one of your advisors or part of the kingdom. So, for example, if I had a counsellor, I'd get a crisis point for doing that, but it takes 14 days. And sometimes 14 days can mean a lot of missions come and go and fail. So that's not nothing either. It's not that easy to find missions where you can level people up, and when you do, you're taking 14 days each time, which means other things are failing and other things are happening. So it's, like I said, it's a bit too unfair. And like I said, there's a lot of things in this game I like, but I think this part needed to be a bit more balanced. Like I said, I'm sure some people have done great with it, but this is just from my own point of view of, like I said, coming in as a layman, not having really researched it and just playing through as I saw was the right things to do for me as I went through it, and that's what I've got to now. So I'm going to continue playing it, but it's difficult because I've already been past this point one time after a save, and I tried to get that crisis point or a couple of crisis points because I needed them to do any missions. I had to use up 28 days, 14 days times 2 to get them, and then by the time I came back to my throne room, my kingdom was crumbling because I'd missed so many different missions that had failed, etc, etc. So it's really difficult. Anyway, thanks for watching Guessagaingaming, Pathfinder Kingmaker, and until next time, take care for now.